Hi, my name is Laura Gibson-Lamothe, Executive Director of the Georgia Fintech Academy. You have joined us for another amazing Fintech Talks. This particular podcast platform is to provide access and resources across the university system to our students, and then, of course, our growing member base and community of Fintech professionals in the state of Georgia and beyond. Glad that you guys have joined us. Here today, I have two incredible guests on the topic of Lithuania. So we're actually going to go a little bit outside of our normal territory to have conversations from a global perspective. And I have two exciting guests here with me today. I'm going to start with you, Grant.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Laura. It's always great to be with you. Grant Wainscott. I am a international cross-border advisor, helping companies from the U.S. scale abroad, helping foreign companies that are exploring expansion into the U.S. and into North America. Been doing international trade for about 30 years. And then we also help countries, chambers of commerce, and specific markets with cross-border strategies. So specializing in fintech is one of the many clusters, which is what brings us here today with our fantastic guest from Lithuania.
Great. Thank you so much, Grant. It's great to be with you always as well. And then can you introduce yourself as well for our audience?
My name is Dovydas Špokauskas. I'm a Lithuanian Consul General in New York. And that means I'm a diplomat who represents Lithuania in the state of New York, but also 11 other states, including Georgia. And amongst my key roles is also to promote economic cooperation with the United States, look for partnerships, see where are the opportunities that exist for Lithuanian businesses here in the United States, and also make sure that as many Americans as possible know Lithuania and know why it is attractive. And since we are particularly focused on fintech, software development, IT, so that's why we made a decision to come to Georgia, because that's where I think a real potential lies, both for us and for your businesses.
So I hope you don't mind me asking you, what is special about Georgia since you've experienced Atlanta and you've been here, meeting with different individuals? What do you think is exciting about the Georgia kind of community or the Atlanta ecosystem?
I think one thing that fascinates me and what reminds me of home a little bit is how much people are ready to give their time to you. Like this warm ability of just sit down, listen, take in your points, try to look for synergies, speaking about things from your personal life to your business life very, very fluently, going from one to another. So it's a cozy feeling being here. It's my second visit to Atlanta. It's definitely not the last.
Oh, good. Hopefully you had no trouble with the airport. I feel like that's what everyone's talking about right now.
Well, keeping our fingers crossed, my flight back is in 3 hours. So hopefully I'm back in New York by.
Perfect.
Well, the snow stopped, so that's good.
Yeah, that's true.
Snow in November. Not usually a good thing.
And not in this part of the world. In Lithuania, that wouldn't be surprising.
Sure. Yeah.
The fact that this year, the first time I saw snow was in Georgia was...
Yeah. Well, thinking about Lithuania, we had a conversation. The audience doesn't know this prior to this particular recording, where you dove into a little bit of background and context for folks that don't necessarily know the history and some of the resources and really how Lithuania is thriving as a whole. Can you kind of just outline that for our audience?
Lithuania is a relatively small state of 3 million in northeastern Europe, where 35 years ago we were still under the Soviet occupation, and that meant a lot for us both. Culturally and in terms of the oppression our nation suffered for 50 years, but it also made us quite backwards technologically. And when we emerged from that ruins of that empire, we were, in place in country which actually didn't really work. We had a very derelict old infrastructure. You would, if you want a landline, you would need to wait a year to have it installed. There is no conversation about internet or anything like that. So we knew that if we want to survive and if we want to be where we want to be, and we were very sure where we want to be, we want to be with the developed world in the West, most namely European Union and the US, that's when we needed to make a leap. And since we have a young and also very, very educated population, IT was probably the opportunity for us to get ahead. So we skipped many things. We skipped paper checks in banks, never had those. We skipped faxes, never had those. We jumped directly into mobile. One of the first things to very, very quickly, the fastest Wi-Fi available. We just needed to go ahead. And this is what created this ecosystem and this expectation in Lithuania that the level of and the quality of IT services you get from finance to filing your taxes should be very high. And this is what we expect from our government. This is what we expect from businesses. And this is how we lived like that for some time, not being very well known for the rest of the world until we entered the EU, the European Union, in 2004. Actually, we entered NATO in the same year as well. That brought us the security guarantee as well as the economic opportunity. And then, since our market of 3 million in one night became the EU market of 500 million, many found that we are really interesting to Europe to explore. So, I mean, as soon as 2009 and 2010, we had those major multinationals like Barclays from the UK or Western Union from the US come to Lithuania, establish their service centers and establish their end-to-end, eventually service. And that's when the whole ecosystem really lifted up. We've got lots of young people coming into tech, lots of people coming into coding, into software development. Then another boost was actually in 2020 when Brexit happened. Otherwise, I mean, we were very, very sad to see Britain leave the European Union because we felt very attached to their values and the way of doing business. But one small silver lining was that a lot of the businesses, especially in the banking sector, moved from the UK and they wanted to find a place somewhere in the EU. And we were there to accept them. So, for example, Revolut, one of the e-banks that we have with 60 million consumers, came from the UK and established itself in Lithuania. So that boosted this even more. We keep pushing. I guess that there are new frontiers to explore, like crypto right now. So, for example, we have in this year, Robinhood came to Lithuania, got their crypto license from the Bank of Lithuania, and now we will be the base of all their services throughout the EU. So that success story is there. I guess it started from us being in a very, very low place after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Well, when you start, we never look back.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that story of like people, thriving out of struggle.
Yes.
And that kind of creates this environment and this culture and community of folks who are really looking to adopt. And when you pair that kind of drive with technology, it's just the possibilities are limitless. So thinking about folks that are exploring and embarking on the journey of partnering and working with, and thinking about the synergies between Lithuania and here in the state of Georgia, Grant, I'll direct this question to you. Where are there aspects of connectivity, I think, between, us from a local perspective with Lithuania, and how could that partnership be effective or beneficial between the two of us?
Yeah, it's a great question. And that's in part, why the Consul General and the First Manager are here this week and continuing a roadshow up and down the East Coast is looking at the synergies. I think what struck me a second ago about what you said, Consul General, is, Atlanta's known as, emerging from the ashes, right? We're the birthplace of the civil rights movement. We are now the world's busiest airport, right? Third largest concentration of Fortune 500s. We have this amazing global marketplace that frankly is because of, in large part, the rest of the South not taking that same approach about let's skip over some of the learnings from other markets and we're just going to go straight, right? We've although we did probably invent the check, we certainly became transactionality because of the processing of checks. Barry and Deluxe, we love you still very much, but Deluxe does way more than checks. This is a market that has learned to reinvent itself, kind of time and time again. The parallels that strike me, I mean, the beauty of Lithuania, if you've not been, it's just one of the most, stunning countrysides. And much like Atlanta, when you look out, everything is trees, right? It's an incredibly forested country, and Atlanta's known as the city in a forest. And so we have a lot of the same parallels for our industry clusters, right? From fintech, we're the center of really transaction processing, but kind of the broader fintech movement in the U.S. But we have, we've got similar industry clusters in our medical technology and our health IT, our global health initiatives, the broader IT community that I think Lithuania has been so successful, and I know you'll dive into it, Consul General, but the parallels for how you're looking to not just grow offshore talent, not just be some market that's cheaper to have development talent. This is Lithuania, someplace like Atlanta continually and Georgia continually builds itself. This isn't just someplace you come for less expensive talent. While we do have a cost advantage over other parts of the country, we have a quality advantage. We have a quality of life advantage. We have a quality of talent advantage, and we have a depth and breadth of talent that covers so many things, in part thanks to the Fintech Academy and the great work that you've done, Lauren. So I think when we look at one of those cross-border opportunities, we have 5 or 6 industry clusters that are really compatible. I'm super excited. Tomorrow, unfortunately, the Consul General won't get a chance to see it, but Commercial Attaché and I will be going down to CineSpace to go tour the Netflix studios where Stranger Things is filmed. And if you're not a Stranger Things fan, shame on you. You should be. You have to watch it. Season 4 featured Vilnius all throughout it as the gulag and lots of other scenes. And it's also known for the series Chernobyl, if you've seen that, but lots of other productions. So we share a lot of commonalities for film and creative, but that's part of why, why they're here this week is to get introductions and understand how we can find educational cross-border partnerships, how we can find companies that are looking to scale abroad and make the case for Lithuania, and likewise for Lithuanian companies that are looking to come into the North American market. How can we keep that door open and provide a warm welcome to them, like I know we'll get in Lithuania?
Yeah. Just thinking about how do you implement some of this collaboration between cross borders? What does that look like? What are some of the systems and processes that could be established to really make the relationship effective?
Some of them are already there, like relationship between academic institutions. This is something I really want to emphasize here when I talk to Georgia. We do have connections with other universities on the East Coast, like MIT or Yale. We want to have a better connection with the colleges here in the South. We do have some in Florida. We want to have an equally strong leg here in Georgia. So that's one. Another thing is, of course, Georgia being a hub of trade shows. So just yesterday we met quite a few Lithuanian IT developers, engineers who were actually here, for example, the Rubicon conference that happened. So other shows that we have are also frequented here by Lithuanians, and that establishes connections. Also, Lithuanian community here is very well represented. I guess it's young, it's vibrant, it's all across the major sectors. So what we also use beyond such good friends as Grant is our Lithuanian friends here.
Wow. Thinking about, just the tactics that you're taking to, I think, educate a population on Lithuania, the current state, the potential for opportunity. What does success look like? What are your goals, I think, from a relationship perspective?
I think by now, also Grant has referred to, we have reached the stage where we are no longer just a cheap labor destination. That was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Now we have an advantage on costs, but what we offer is of course the high added value of our people who are good at what they do, and they have this incredible work ethic, which might not be always over promising, but it's always over delivering. I mean, we will not stop until we make something work. That stubbornness is in us. I mean, We got out of the Soviet Union after 50 years. We got into the EU when everybody said it's impossible. We are now at the level of prosperity that such long-standing democracies as Spain has. So we have grit, and we don't just we want this to be a real success story. So we're quite targeted on this, and I guess as Grant has said, we have a few sectors that we feel strong in. IT, fintech, payments in particular is what we hold a really high standard for ourselves in Lithuania, because we as a population are very used to everything which is electronic services. We file our taxes online for over 10 years already. Most of the services, the state services, are digitized. For example, I took a mortgage a couple of months ago, and I didn't need to have a single physical meeting, whether that was in a bank or with a notary or with a lawyer. None of that is necessary. I just log in and I do my thing. So we are quite demanding on ourselves. And when somebody comes and asks us for something, we think that's what they deserve.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is probably the third use case that I've heard you say today where there's a lot more efficiency applied, where we struggle with paperwork and, maybe archaic infrastructure on the back end supporting that. But it seems like there's some expertise that can be and knowledge that could be shared across borders as well, as you guys have obviously navigated, creating almost optimal customer experiences in multiple different scenarios where we're still kind of embarking on that journey.
We didn't have a choice, because when you have 3 million, you don't have a luxury of having a person responsible for each single chain of a large transaction. You need to optimize, and you need to think, where can I cut? Where can I leave this to technology? Where can I have someone who is qualified to only address the points where you need human interaction? And this is the mindset that we have to apply, because you just don't have thousands of people around you. And if you do, you want them all to be high value added, not just, performing simple tasks.
Wow. Efficiencies.
Yes, that comes with the reality. It's not that it's not that we thought about it that one day. It's just you cannot do it.
Yeah, I love that you hit on grit. Not to go back to that special element, I think that might be the secret sauce and the secret ingredient that we're talking about here. The U.S. in general, I think we have a lot of folks, especially in the younger generation, the population I work mostly with. They're used to a certain lifestyle, they're used to certain things, and it almost becomes this sense of entitlement, and we continue to try to remind the next generation that, you need to be able to persevere through challenge. You need to be able to innovate and push for, better design, with more impact and more cost efficiencies. And it's just something that's not necessarily innate in individuals. So I'm fascinated to think about, just from a differentiator. And we're talking about, someone who came from operations. It's ideal to come into a community where that's kind of already baked within the demographic that's supporting, throwing development or, kind of offshoring some aspects of the business. But to have that, do you look at that as a strong differentiator compared to maybe other geographies where we're having the same conversation, Ireland, for lack of a better comparison as well? Right? Do you have an opinion on that?
Yes, I think that when you can find a population of not just workers, but of the general population, an entire nation that grew up, frankly. Well, there's a dichotomy. There's a generation, older generation that didn't grow up with the technological advances, and then there's a younger generation like ours in the States, but that was forced. It wasn't just an option. This is how this country's going to move forward. These are the things that we can employ. Ours is a much longer timeline for that disruption to really take place, because we still have the legacy systems. But I have seen in the interactions with Lithuanian companies, with the interactions with leadership and seeing the cluster specifically, it really does remind me a lot of the grit here in Atlanta, grit in the South in general.
Yeah.
I wasn't born here, and don't know that I'll die here. but we've been here for a long enough time to understand why this is such a special place, and Georgia, but more narrowly, kind of Metro Atlanta specifically. That global mindset, but we had to get there, right? We had the things that influenced our timeline that brought us to where we are, to have the world's busiest airport, when other cities nearby could have made those types of investments, and Atlanta leadership, for various reasons, has been on the forefront of all of that, from our transit system to building the most sustainable and successful stadiums in the country, to hosting things like World Cup coming up in next year in 2026. So I think those the grit of the community is what determines its success, not just leadership, but the people have to feel it too. And that's every time I've had an interaction with the Lithuanian community, I felt that, even here in the US.
Wow, that's amazing. I definitely do think that people are key. It's an imperative to focus on an aspect of the people. Thinking about, as ecosystem builders, I'll label you both as that, contributing to the conversations, and then tangibly seeing, some of the impacts that you're able to make. Thinking about a specific sub-segment, but startup kind of community, are there opportunities for, startups here to connect within Lithuania, and how do they, I guess, approach that conversation or embark on that journey?
Many opportunities, I think. In Lithuania, you would have a population that is, well, the working age people, all of them speak English, and all of them are tuned into to the culture that we see as a Western American culture. So you, at the get-go, you will be speaking the same language. The startup spirit is there in Lithuania. We realize that our size means that we do not have a luxury to have the large businesses you have based here in Atlanta are not the size that we have in Lithuania. So all of our businesses are small and medium when compared to what you have here in the United States. So that doesn't even leave another choice for mentality, just to be very dynamic and very outward looking. That leads to Georgia. We find similar minds, and then we look for opportunities for partnership. And we do that both like on ideas level, but also on the government level. So what you would have is something we call a startup visa. Somebody has an idea that we think could be a basis for partnership. An American national, whatever national, it lives here in the United States, could get a startup visa in Lithuania, come there, work, get all these incentives that the state provides. So this is state being very much behind the drive forward.
Oh, that's awesome. Just thinking about how we wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you would want our audience to take away from this, that they can, consider in the future?
Well, first of all, please look at Lithuania's case again. Please visit. I think one of the sure ways of getting interested and getting involved in Lithuania is seeing the people for yourselves. We offer those opportunities. We've seen so many businesses from the big ones like Western Union to really specific startups come to Lithuania and really get caught by the culture there, by the quality of life, by the ability of the state to help businesses thrive, and to our ability to actually help each other. And I think, just as Grant has mentioned, Atlanta is the place where we feel that this vibe is in the air. That's what drives us here. Hopefully that could interest many of you to come to Lithuania to see it for you.
Well, I know I want to go. I'm jealous of you going. I know.
Yeah, 3 weeks to pack your bag. I didn't pack mine yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I hear you have.
I'm coming prepared. It'll be a beautiful time of the year. There are the holidays, and the Baltics in general, but especially in Lithuania are special. Love being in Europe and in the winter. I think part of the reason that we care so much about these cross-border relationships is Atlanta has roughly 80, it might be a little bit more than that now, roughly 80 foreign government presences here. So that could be anything from a career diplomatic post with a full consulate here, or it could be, something like an honorary consulate or a foreign trade office. It could be a tourism bureau. But because we're such a global city, we're used to working with those cross-border mindsets, and business follows. But business follows when we have a cultural understanding, when we have a personal connection, and I think that's what especially in the work that we do with trying to grow the region's cross-border relationships. It is really critical to find those countries, because as Lithuania could do, we can look anywhere in the world, for partnerships, and we can't all look in every country and in every state. You have to find those markets where you feel there's cultural fit, there's economic fit, and frankly, it's people that you enjoy being around, and someplace that you can see yourself doing business in and building a relationship with. So we lead with those. So talking about the educational partnerships, when it's a study abroad program, faculty exchanges, finding ways to collaborate. We've done international pitch competitions where we had startups in one country pitching against startups in Atlanta, and the winner of each of those markets got to go experience the other market and be introduced to the economic development community there and the support community there, all the way to meetings that we've had while we were here with major global brands that now, because they had an opportunity to hear from our guests, are seriously considering a potential investment in the country. That's the big win. There's a lot of small things that have to happen to build those relationships, but there's an honorary consulate here, so the government is represented in Georgia, which we're very grateful for, and we just want to continue those relationships.
No, it's a great way to wrap up this conversation, Grant. The one thing that kind of stuck out in my mind is this: that right now Lithuania is uniquely positioned to be a very strong partner for us that are here working in Atlanta and the broader state of Georgia. And you guys highlighted so many different points where I think there's a lot of value kind of, arranging that relationship. But thank you both for spending time with us today on Fintech Talks. For our community, please continue to connect with us on our YouTube and then our other platforms, as well as GeorgiaFintechAcademy.org for more content like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.